An investigation is underway in Louisiana after 7 nursing home residents die in a warehouse during Hurricane Ida. Also, local electric crews are back after helping those impacted by Ida.
The 4 states' most watched news starts now.
Fire crews rescue a 65-year-old woman from a burning house in Girard on Sunday. This is KOAM News at Noon. I'm Zach Dodge. Police say the fire started around 10 a.m. When responders arrived on scene, they found 65-year-old Gayla Rinkins still inside. She was transported to Girard Hospital. 39-year-old Samuel Rinkins was able to get out on his own. Officials say he suffered minor injuries and was also taken to Girard Hospital. The Kansas State Fire Marshal's office is assisting in the investigation. A 14-year-old girl from St. Louis dies after a jet ski crash on Table Rock Lake. The Missouri Highway Patrol says it happened Saturday afternoon near Little Indian Point 5. The patrol says a jet ski driven by a 15-year-old male hit the 14-year-old's jet ski, ejecting her from the vehicle. She was taken to Mercy Hospital in Springfield, where she was pronounced dead. And now Michael Hayslip joins us with what's the weather is doing, which I have no idea.
But I'm going to leave this in your capable hands. Would you rather talk about average temperatures or would you rather talk about precipitation? I'll tackle one of them with you now, and then I'll talk about the other one when we get to our full weather hit. What would you like to do?
The pressure is too great. I have no idea. Like I said, I have no idea what the weather's doing outside other than the fact that it doesn't feel as hot.
Then you know what? With that being said, I'll use that as a jumping off point and talk about our average temperatures, because coming off of a weekend where we broke that string of high 80s, if not 90s, back-to-back 86s on Saturday and Sunday actually lowered our September average high below the 90-degree mark. And despite the fact that it's only the noon hour here on a marvelous holiday Monday morning, 85, we're going to hang right there. We're only going to see about 86, 87. It is not going to be oppressively hot by any means. 85 is where we hang over 7th and Rangeline. Quite a good deal of traffic out there. I was kind of surprised earlier. I thought it'd be a rather quiet intersection, but our temperatures range anywhere from about 81 to 86, and that is hard to beat right now. As far as we look at the contiguous 48, Midwest remains fairly quiet thanks in part to a high pressure system. You'll notice we are getting a little bit of warmth that works in from, boom, Texas, straight through us. But at the same point in time, because the jet stream kind of dominates under us, well, we don't have to worry about that humidity taking hold of us, and we're going to stay dry at the same point in time as a severe thunderstorm risk map pretty much completely cuts us out of the loop. We'll be up into the high 80s later on today, but I don't think we'll see a whole lot of 90s on the board, and then overnight dropping back down into the 60s. This morning, absolutely delightful. We'll do it again as we get ready to go back to school and go back to work. And Zach, we actually get spoiled here middle of the week. We're talking about 84 on Wednesday, 87 on Thursday. Enjoy that while you can, because you want to check out Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Doesn't look too bad, though, considering what we have seen.
That's right.
Over the last month or two.
I tell you what, to go from 84 middle of the week where we're just like, oh, almost a little taste of fall in the mornings. Yeah, by the time we get into Saturday afternoon, we're going to be like, oh man, here we go again.
Yep, here we go again. But thank you very much, Michael, and we'll get a closer look at that here in just a little bit.
That means coming up next.
Right. Topping Nation Watch now, a crisis unfolding in Louisiana, where many people are still struggling to cope with the aftermath of Hurricane Ida. The heat index was above 100 degrees yesterday, as more than 500,000 people are still without power. Meanwhile, an investigation is underway into conditions at a warehouse where hundreds of nursing home residents rode out the storm. Officials say conditions were unsafe and ordered 7 senior living facilities that sent patients there to close. Jesse Michelle has more details.
They were hungry, they were thirsty, they was crying for, out, they was in pain. It was just very sad.
Nurse Natalie Henderson rode out the hurricane inside a warehouse here in Independence, Louisiana, where hundreds of nursing home residents were packed in just before Ida hit. These images show patients on mattresses on the floor with no social distancing. Health officials were told the residents were not being fed or changed. 5 of the 7 deaths here were storm-related.
The whole place is reeking of urine and feces. On top of them trying to eat, they begging for water.
The owner of the 7 nursing homes behind the move tried to downplay the tragedy last week.
We only had 5 deaths within the 6 days, with normally with 850 people you'll have a couple a day. So we did really good on taking care of people.
Why would you say that? There shouldn't be no deaths at all. At all. It's just heartbreaking.
Some residents in some of the hardest hit Louisiana towns have given up. Facing sweltering heat, gas, and food shortages, they're leaving the state until the power returns.
Any place the Lord blesses us to go out of this heat, where we're able to get some food, get a hot bath, and, and just some comfort.
Meanwhile, Henderson says after speaking out, she's been told she'll never be hired back if the nursing homes reopen. But she hopes doing so will ensure nothing like what she witnessed will ever happen again.
These are people's lives. They are not animals or dogs. They're human beings and they deserve good treatment.
The Louisiana Department of Health reports trying to gain access to inspect this facility, but they were denied entry. CBS News has reached out to the nursing home owner, Bob Dean Jr., for a comment. He has not responded to our request. Jesse Mitchell, CBS News, Independence, Louisiana.
Ida's aftermath is also being felt up the Atlantic coast. 68 people are now confirmed dead as a result of the storm. President Biden approved a disaster declaration for New Jersey and is set to visit New Jersey and New York tomorrow. Carthage Water and Electric Plant distribution crews are back home after a week spent helping those impacted by Hurricane Ida. The crews worked to restore the power grid along the Gulf Coast. They were joined in southwest Mississippi by volunteers from Independence, Nixa, Lebanon, and others. One volunteer says the experience made a lasting impression.
We were pretty dehydrated and tired, and I remember a lady and her 2 kids rode up on a 4-wheeler and they just needed their power back on. So, we stayed and made sure that we got that back on. We were wanting to go home, but we stayed. That definitely made an impression on all of us.
Local crews were stationed throughout Mississippi and Louisiana. That's a look at today's top stories and weather in our first 7 minutes. Up next on KOAM News at Noon, a tradition gets back on track in Pittsburgh after taking a hiatus last year because of the pandemic. And later, residents get the chance to be transported back in time to hear the significance of Labor Day. Little Balkans Days is back in Pittsburgh after last year's cancellation. KOAM's Bronte Sorotsky checked out the event over the weekend and has how this festival's unique events differ from other fall festivals.
This Labor Day weekend, the city of Pittsburgh returns to its roots.
So we honor our ethic and immigrant heritage because Pittsburgh, Kansas and the southeast Kansas area was an immigrant melting pot. So every Labor Day we celebrate that history, the coal mining history of the area.
The city does this with their annual Little Balkans Day festival. The 3-day event showcases different cultures through music, art, food, and more.
So we have cooking demonstrations in Lincoln Park. We have all kinds of live music. The bagpipes are getting ready to start here. We'll have a folklife festival all day long with local color. JT Canola is the MC, where we'll have poetry readings, Slovenian music, polka music, country, bluegrass.
The bagpipes at this year's festival were played by Orrin Weiss, something he was shocked to be able to do.
I like Little Balkans. We've attended before. I never really thought that I'd be on the stage, though. My brother and sister were always the singers. But I play the bagpipes, and I guess that's what I'll be doing up there. But I'm excited to play here.
Saturday's festivities also included a dog show. One winner says she's proud of her pet, especially for learning new tricks as an older dog.
And then I was so proud of her because she learned all of those tricks super duper fast.
These types of events are uncommon for local festivals. something Little Balkan Days, which is in its 36th year, is proud of.
It's not your average fall festival. We have a full lineup tomorrow as well, with a polka dance and a chicken dinner in the mall. We even brought back the original cookbook from 1985.
In Pittsburgh, Bronte Sorotsky, KOAM News.
The Fort Scott National Historic Site is bringing history to life through its Labor Day celebrations. Over the weekend, the historic site held walking tours and a cannon demonstration. The historic site project manager says the staff is using the celebration to bring awareness to Labor Day's significance to the country.
We're celebrating Labor Day. Early 1900s, labor unions and the labor movement really came into play. But there has always been a division between management and labor as far as equitable pay for equitable work. And we're trying to bring all the different elements of that together.
The historic site's Labor Day events continue today, and visitors can learn more by going to their website. Still to come on KOAM News at Noon, Mr. Food.
Everybody knows that salad goes with bread. But what about salad in bread? It'll all make sense once you see what we're baking up today.
But first, Michael Hayslip returns with your complete forecast.
Hope you're enjoying a marvelous Labor Day and what's going to be an absolute gorgeous afternoon and evening. And I want to thank all of you for joining us. But honestly, after this, get outside and enjoy some fresh air. A couple things I wanted to point out about our precipitation totals here on this September 6th for our daily almanac. The yearly amount that you see right there is recorded at Joplin Regional Airport, where there's only 7 1/100ths. That's it, 7 1/100ths of a difference between now and our historical normals. However, in Chanute, we're above 7 inches. That's right, 7 inches above our historical norms. It's been amazing how much rain the northwestern portion of the 4 states has had this year compared to the central and south parts. Here we are over 7th and Range Line, a very comfortable 85 degrees, feeling like 86, so it's negligible in between our temperatures and what it actually feels like, really ranging from about 81 to 86. And with all that blue sky, it's actually warmer than yesterday, but we're not going to see a dramatic increase. We should stay below 90 degrees in most of the 4 states, even with a clean Skywatch storm tracker. Now, I do want to point out that the Osage flood warning does still continue. That's right, Osage River. Now, the Little Osage, that one has been lifted, but we're still going to roll the Osage one until Wednesday night. And then as we back up, look at all those problems, that red flag warning up in Big Sky country through the Dakotas, Wyoming, Utah, Idaho. Their humidity is going to drop down to 15% with their wildfires. The exact opposite of that is going to be Hurricane Larry, now a Category 3, just about 800 miles off the coast of Florida right there. They will have some storm surge issues along the East Coast, but hopefully it stays off quite a bit. And then the perfect thing would be if we can get that thing below hurricane status by the time it imposes upon Nova Scotia up by Halifax as well. Here in the 4 states for our holiday, we're looking at highs in the high 80s, so just delightful. And then overnight, back down into the 60s. I think it'll be a little bit warmer than what we were earlier this morning. We actually had some 55s on the board pre-sunrise. I think we'll go about low to mid 60s here as we all get ready to go back to work and get to school. Now, the other thing you're going to notice here on Future Track is our lack of precipitation. And that's because our temperatures remain so mild throughout the course of the middle of the week that we really don't have anything to worry about. You see, a little tries to sprint through there on Tuesday, but it's so quick that it's really not going to mount to anything. As look at Wednesday and Thursday's temperatures. Hold on to those, please. No, Mother Nature says you're not that lucky. She's going to reemerge with the heat beginning on Friday and take us up all the way to the mid-90s, Zach, by the time we get to Saturday.
Right now, and even through the middle of the week, like you were talking about, it almost feels kind of like we're getting a taste of fall.
It does.
Maybe.
Oh, this morning when I walked out and it was 55 degrees.
Right,
I was
like,
really
ooh, nice.
This kind of caught me off guard.
Yeah.
And I wasn't complaining. And then I look at Saturday and I go,
Aw. Thank you much, Michael. We take this time now to honor today's 4-state hero. John Jackson Sr. served in the United States Navy. The Pitcher, Oklahoma native carried out his duties in Portugal. A decorated veteran, he also won medals for good conduct, expert rifleman, and expert pistol. We thank John Jackson Sr. our four-state hero. Our new producer, Ron, he usually thinks of bread as a side dish for salad, but Howard's showing us a variation today that's hearty enough to be its own meal, stuffed full of flavor. We're making pull-apart salad bread in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen.
You know, I really have to hand it to Patty, who heads up our test kitchen. She recently came up with a new twist on monkey bread that's pretty incredible. As you know, monkey bread is usually a sweet pull-apart bread that's great for breakfast or brunch. Well, Patty broke all the rules and created a savory version that's studded with veggies. Like with all other monkey breads, we start by cutting dough into pieces. Next, we put them in a bowl and toss them with some melted butter, along with a packet of ranch dressing mix. To that, we add some chopped sun-dried tomatoes, sliced black olives, a handful of scallions, and a generous amount of shredded mozzarella cheese. Once it's tossed, we place it in a greased bun pan. This goes into the oven for about 40 minutes or until the dough is set and the outside is golden. After it cools slightly, invert it onto a platter and surround it with all sorts of salad fixings to make it even more special. To get this fun to make and fun to eat recipe for what we call pull-apart salad bread, simply visit our website. I know you'll be glad you did. I'm Howard with Kelly in the Mr. Food Test Kitchen, where today we found baked from the garden way for you to say, ooh, it's so good.
You can find this recipe along with a lot more good food from the Mr. Food Test Kitchen online. Just go to our website, KOAMnewsnow.com. Now here's a look at the four-state market.
Zachariah, I ask you, what are we doing, my man? We're here on the Labor Day. It's beautiful outside, and that's why I want to give a special thanks to our control room comprised of Dylan, Will, and Mike behind the glass, Daniel back in master control, Ron behind the cameras here, and I want to thank you as well, because what we're going to do when this show concludes in 48 seconds is we're going to get outside and enjoy some fresh air. Highs today in the high 80s, a gorgeous week ahead until the heat wave hits us over the weekend. No complaints for the early beginning of September.
Well, thank you much, Michael. We'll see if I have enough time to say what's coming up at 5.
You got time.
Finding a good limit for your children's screen time can be a challenge for parents. And new research shows why finding that balance could make a difference that lasts a lifetime. Plus, TSA reports more than twice as many traveled this weekend compared to last year. But the travel industry is still struggling to get back to pre-pandemic numbers. And a more than 100-year-old tradition returns in Uniontown, Kansas with the annual Labor Day picnic. So join us for those stories and more on KOAM News at 5, and thank you much for joining us here at noon.